There was a valley where winters lingered longer than they should, a soft white hush resting over the earth, as though time itself had paused to pray. And at the edge of that valley, in a humble cottage embraced by bare trees, lived an old gardener named Aurelius. He was not known for brilliance or wealth. He was known for returning to the fields when no one else would. Every dawn breath forming clouds, boots sinking into frost. He walked to a small vineyard at the foot of the hill. The branches there were stiff, brittle, sleeping beneath snow. "Not dead," he would whisper, brushing frost from a vine, as though greeting a friend who simply hadn't woken yet. The townsfolk did not understand him. Vineyards were tended in spring, they said, not in winter. Winter was for fire and blankets, for staying inside, not for faith made visible in trembling hands and frozen soil. But Aurelius had learned long ago that seasons obey heaven, not hurry. So while the world slept late, he dug gently at stubborn ground, poured warm water at the roots, and hummed quiet hymns that only snow and spirit heard. At times he paused beneath barren branches and closed his eyes, as if he could feel life stirring under the surface, a pulse beneath the quiet. "To tend what rests," he murmured, "is to trust what comes." And when the wind cut cold across his face, he simply smiled, tired, faithful, and kept working as though winter were not an enemy, but a sacred waiting ground. Not far away ran a market road, where voices traveled faster than truth. And in winter, when men had too little work and too much time for opinions, they spoke freely of things they did not understand. "Look," they would say, nudging each other with chapped fingers, "there goes the winter gardener." Others laughed softly, not cruelly, just confidently, like those who have never had to believe. Before seeing, what roots could grow in frozen ground? What life hides in silence? Aurelius heard them, always did. He never rebuked, never defended. He simply nodded, as though bowing to humility. They had not yet found. But gentle hearts bruise too. There were mornings his hands hesitated above the soil, not from cold, but from the weight of wondering. What if they are right? He never spoke the doubt aloud, but doubt rarely needs a voice. To be heard. Evenings came when he returned home, boots heavy, hope quiet, sitting beside the hearth with broth and silence. Silence that felt less like peace, more like ache. Faith is rarely loud. Doubt sometimes whispers very clearly. One night, staring at embers, he pressed a hand to his chest, as if warming more than bone. "I tend what sleeps," he whispered, "not because I see it, but because he does." The wind rattled the window, winter testing not the tree, but the gardener who refuses to abandon it. And at dawn, though steps were slow and breath uneasy, he walked again. To believe in spring before spring believes in itself. That is a strange and holy calling. Then came a morning like all others. Cold breath, stiff soil, sky pale with longing. Aurelius knelt at the vines, breaking a thin crust of frost. And there, just beneath the surface, a tenderness glimmered. Not a bloom. Not yet. Just a single thread of green, curled tight as a whispered promise, so small it could be missed, unless the heart was trained to notice. Quiet mercies. He exhaled. Not a gasp, but a trembling breath, a prayer answered not suddenly, but softly. "Ah," he murmured, voice cracking, "you were working." Not triumph, not noise, just knowing. He brushed soil back over the bud to protect what heaven had begun. "For every season," he whispered, "there is a hidden beginning." The frost beneath his boots no longer felt like defeat, only temporary. It is a holy thing to witness the first green thought of spring. Spring did not rush. It arrived the way God heals most hearts. Quiet edges, soft warmth, a little more light each morning, until the world felt new, without knowing when it changed. Week by week, the vineyard blushed green, and Aurelius moved among the rows, not with anxious hope, but reverent calm, every leaf a testimony, every tendril a hymn. He rested a hand on a wakening vine, and spoke not to the valley, not to the vine, but to the God who heard every winter prayer. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Psalm 126-5. Then softly, like incense on cold air, "You were working when I saw nothing." The wind carried it. The earth received it. Heaven heard it. Sometimes God does not rush a miracle, because He is first growing the person who will hold it. So if ever you find yourself tending frozen ground, waiting where nothing stirs, praying into silence, remember the winter gardener. Remember the bud beneath frost. Remember the God who never sleeps under the soil. For in His timing, roots come before fruit, faith before sight, and winter always bows to spring. We share prayers, affirmations, and stories to walk in peace with the Lord and grow in His truth. If this touched your spirit, show your love, like, share, and subscribe.